Hello. The story I'm reading now is from Matthew's Gospel and is another well-known one. It says, Jesus was born in the town of Bethlehem in Judea during the time when Herod the king was king. And Jesus was born. Some wise men from the east came to Jerusalem. They asked, "Where is the baby who was born to be king of the Jews? We saw his star in the east. We have come to worship him." When King Herod heard about this new king of the Jews, he was troubled, and all the people of Jerusalem were worried too. Herod called a meeting of all the leading priests and teachers of the law. He asked them where the Christ would be born. They answered, "In the town of Bethlehem in Judea." The prophet wrote about this in the scriptures, "But in Bethlehem, in the land of Judea, you are important among the rulers of Judah. A ruler will come from you. He will be like a shepherd for my people, the Israelites." Then Herod had a secret meeting with the wise men from the east. He learned from them the exact time they first saw the star. Then Herod sent the wise men to Bethlehem. He said to them, "Go and look carefully for the child. When you find him, come and tell me. Then I can go and worship him too." The wise men heard the king, and they left, and they saw the same star they had seen in the east. It went before them, and it stopped above the place where the child was. And when the wise men saw the star, they were filled with joy. They went to the house where the child was and saw him and his mother Mary. They bowed down and worshipped the child, and they opened the gifts they had bought for him. They gave him treasures of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. But God warned the wise men in a dream not to go back to Herod, so they went home to their own country a different way. There's some interesting details here. These men from the east obviously didn't know what was in the Old Testament, because they had to ask the priests and the teachers of the law, or Herod asked them on their behalf. So actually there were people who weren't Jews. They were the first Gentile people probably to come and to hear Jesus, and they actually responded to what they saw and went out of the way to actually find out what was happening and what the sign was that they'd seen in the star. And when they went to Herod, all the people of Jerusalem were troubled because they knew what Herod was like. They knew that he would not act in a very nice way when he heard that there was somebody in competition with him to be the king. But fortunately God was in control, and he later on opened the way for them to go to see Jesus born in Bethlehem and to go away without telling Herod where Jesus was born. So God was ahead, ensuring that Jesus was kept safe. And when they got to Jerusalem, they went to their house where Jesus was, which actually mean that this must have been sometime after Jesus was born, because they were actually in a house rather than in the stable where Jesus was born. And Mary and Joseph had chance to actually find somewhere to live. And the gifts they brought, there was the gift of gold, which is something that would be given to a king and show that he's the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. They gave frankincense, which is something that a type of incense that was burnt in the temple, and shows that he had a priestly act to use a sort of intercessor between God and man and God. So if we have to talk to God, we can do it in Jesus' name, because he's talking to God on our behalf. And then there's the myrrh. The word myrrh means bitter. It's the same word that we get the name Mary from, Jesus' mother. And myrrh was a type of herb that was used when people were buried, and points to when Jesus was crucified and buried in the tomb. And it says that about all the women going to use spices and stuff. One of them, when he was in the tomb, would have been myrrh. But actually, when they got there, they discovered they'd risen from the dead. So a lot of this idea of myrrh points towards both Good Friday, when he was crucified, but also to Easter Day, when he rose from the dead. And the actual myrrh didn't need to be used because he'd risen from the dead. And those are my thoughts for today.